Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders head out west to face Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. You have no idea how good it is to say, Jayden Daniels is back. We get to see a Daniels versus Herbert matchup. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, the Chargers defense, they had a bit of trouble with Jackson Dart and his legs. He had over 50 rushing yards. Jayden Daniels, although he's back from that knee injury, is such a huge part of his game, his mobility, creating with his legs. He's one of the best ever already to do it. Expecting that to be a major concern for Jesse Minter and the Los Angeles Charger defense. Now, a major positive for the Chargers is that they are one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Even with the loss to New York, this team is still top 5 in yards and points. This is the third best defense in the sense of yards allowed per game. They were pretty good against the pass on Sunday against New York. A lot of it came down to situational football. Justin Herbert, got to give the guy a ton of credit, the way he tracked sexy Dexter Lawrence down, making that tackle inside the 5, preventing a touchdown. I mean, it could have been dire at that point, down 14-0. That limited it to 10-0, and they were fighting there with chances throughout the entire game. Great play by Herbert, tracking him down, and then later on, there's another turnover. Giants get the ball, and they are able to punch it in. But this is a Charger defense that does not quit. They are still one of the best units like they were a season ago. The issue is you can't have the turnovers that LA did. Herbert with 2 picks, easily one of his worst regular season performance in the last couple of seasons, going up against not a great Commander defense. Now, they are led by the ageless wonder. I don't understand how Bobby Wagner continues to do it. I think I do. He's just one of the all-time greats. Future first ballot Hall of Famer. The fact that he is leading the NFL in tackles. He's got 42 tackles on the year, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. He's still doing it at such a high level. The issue here right now for the Commanders is that the yards that they are giving up, I get last week that they did not have Daniels and Mariota, a bit limited in what he would be able to do. But this is still a Commander team that has to play better defense. One of their weaknesses last year was stopping the run, unlike their ability to run the football, which still is one of the best in the National Football League. This is a team that is the second best rushing offense. Even with Daniels out for 2 weeks, they were able to slam the ball down the Raiders' throats. And with Daniels back, they are back to being one of the best. They were 3rd in the NFL in 2024 running the football. That remains such a premier part of their identity. Now, for the passing attack for Washington, it's a little bit unknown. The status of Terry McLaurin as of the recording of this video, we don't know if he will be out there on Sunday. Clearly, that's a large factor in the way that they go out and play against the Chargers. He's the type of burner, that ability, that speed, run after catch. He's a weapon that without him, they are a little bit limited in the weapons that they do possess to try and attack that spectacular Chargers secondary that is led by Derwin James. Still incredible. He's a phenomenal player in the sense of he's not always going to have a crazy stat line, but he's impacting the game, where he is going to change what the Commanders will have to do at the line of scrimmage because of his versatility, and he can play just about every position except for nose tackle. This guy's incredible coming off the edge, playing in the middle of the field, covering anybody. He's spectacular, but without him, that limits you. I mean, that's going to be a much larger role for Deebo Samuel for Washington trying to attack them. Again, I think they're going to have to lean a little bit more on Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, who's been very good running the football on the season. I so far have a lean for the Chargers. I have to tell you, the only thing with them is you're a bit concerned with the offensive line at this stage. The Giants have a better defensive line and front 7. I'll say defensive line. I don't know about front 7. Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner in the middle back there are pretty dang good. But that front 4, they just got pressure on Herbert for a lot of the day. Frankly, they were a bit lucky to only have given up 2 sacks. But it felt like Herbert got sacked 4 or 5 times with the amount of pressure that he was in, how uncomfortable at times he looked at pocket. His eyes still don't quite come down. It's impressive that he's got the ability to keep his eyes downfield. It's one of his best traits currently, that he can step up in the pocket and still deliver. despite pressure all around him. But New York was really getting to him in that game. And for a Washington defense that so far on the season is trying to get a bit more pressure. The sacks are there, right? A little bit middle of the pack. They're looking to get a bit more pressure. This is their opportunity. You're playing the Chargers without Slater, who went down at the beginning of the season before this thing even kicked off with the PCL injury. And then Joe Alt with the high ankle sprain. That's a tough one for LA. Losing a guy that went from right tackle to left tackle, played ridiculously well through the first 3 weeks, and then he gets carted off the field. Very tough blow for a team that was just starting to figure out the run game a little bit. They weren't able to run the football that well for the first 3 games, and then Omarion Hampton, out of nowhere, he's breaking 153 yards down the sideline, winds up with over 120 yards rushing on the day for LA, but I thought they would go to it a little bit more, keep the ball on the ground. It seemed like they had some more opportunities to run the ball on New York, that without Neighbors out, the Giants offense was starting to get a little bit more limited towards Dart's legs and trying to keep it on the ground and keep the read simple, and that they could sort of start creeping up without the deep vertical threat of Malik Neighbors. And I thought the Chargers would try and hold on to the football longer, time of possession, play that game, and they just did not give him that many carries. Only 12 carries on the day. Felt like a missed opportunity. I get it, though. Alt going down, the makeshift offensive line. They're still trying to figure that out. But once again, they have discovered something, a diamond in a bit of the rough. The first 2 years, I don't know if there's been anyone more criticized than Quentin Johnston, the all-world talent out of TCU. He gets drafted by them a couple years ago in the first round, and this year he has legitimately been one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. He's been fantastic. He looks like the number one right now. I was concerned with a couple of the drops. Ladd McConkey with a rough performance against New York. He needs to bounce back in a major way. Only one catch for 11 yards against New York. They need him to be better. But again, this team is just splattered with talent. Keenan Allen continues out of the slot to be a weapon. They got to get the tight end more involved in Conklin, but Lambert Smith, the rookie, not really much of a factor yet in this offense. Trey Harris hasn't been much of a factor yet. These guys haven't been getting all that many reps. That was an area that I thought that we would see them more, because Johnston's, he's got good speed, but he's not that burner on the edge the way that a Harris could be, or a Lambert Smith. That's why you took those guys to stretch teams out vertically. Do we see them against Washington? Still not expecting them. They, as of this point, don't look like huge factors this year. Maybe they get a little bit more larger roles in the offense going forward. I do think that the Chargers have an advantage in this game. Not the advantage of home environment. SoFi Stadium is probably the most well-known to get invaded by opposing fans. There will be tons of Commanders fans in there. I've been to a lot of Chargers games as a Chargers season ticket holder, but I will not be attending this game. There's a lot of Sundays where there's just a lot of good football going on, and I'd almost rather see the games on television. Won't be on or able to get out to that one, but man, I wish I could, because Daniels versus Herbert, the quality of quarterback play is clearly one of the most important pieces of the NFL for your team to be successful, and it's going to be at an elite level. 2 of the best 8 or 10 quarterbacks in the NFL going head-to-head from Los Angeles. I've got the Chargers coming out with a win in this one in a tight manner, 26-23. I believe that they'll be able to run the football. I've got more faith, let's put it this way, in their offense, even without their star tackles for basically the next month with that injury. Alt was lucky not to wind up on IR for, it looks like he'll be back in maybe a month, 3 weeks or so. But I've got more faith in their offense with success against the Commanders' defense, which has been decent, but they've had holes throughout the year. I have more faith in that than Washington, let's say, their offense going up against the Chargers with McLaurin not healthy if McLaurin doesn't play. And then Daniels, how much of a factor is he with his legs against LA? I do think there is that advantage. But again, how willing is he to continue to run coming off of that injury? That was, again, the biggest concern, particularly maybe about Jayden going into the NFL, was that wiry frame. This guy is lean as heck and built well. It's just he's not that thickness of a Justin Herbert that's 6'5", 6'6", 230 pounds, where the concern more for Herbert at this point is the big game ability. Can he win the big games when it matters the most? 0-2 in the playoffs, and the way that this thing is looking, he will have an opportunity to redeem himself. So I'll go with LA 26-23, knocking off the Commanders at home. Should be a fun game. Let me know down below in the comments that you see coming out with a win in this game. Do you think Washington pulls a bit of the upset on the road in LA? Man, I can just imagine this game going so many different ways. Jim Harbaugh going up against Dan Quinn. Man, I'm excited for this one. I'm sure that you are too. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more content from Blitz with Blender. I'm Josh Blender in the future. I make NFL and college videos every single day. So glad that we can continue to move on. Now it's October, and we have more of a clear idea what these teams will be going forward, and it's just pure football talk at this point. There's no speculation and trying to come up with ideas of what they'll look like. We know what they are and what their identities are, and let's get to it. So I appreciate you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Best player in college football. That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic. Josh Blender. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blender. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.